The food service, hospitality, and retail industries are evolving in ways you've never heard of until now. Hosted by global industry technovator Rob Grimes and powered by the IFBTA, Tech Bytes is your go-to podcast, putting technology innovation and trends on the menu.
Welcome back to another episode of Tech Bytes, supported by the IFBTA. I'm Rob Grimes, your host, and today I have a very special guest on, and the reason I say special is because I actually enjoy eating out at the places that he represents. But I'm joined today in conversation in a number of different areas, and in a few minutes we're going to talk about why I might think that this is an important area right now to talk about. But Jeff Douglas, who is the Senior Vice President and Chief Information Officer for Potbelly Sandwich Works, is joining us. So welcome, Jeff.
Thank you. Glad to be here with you, Rob.
So do you have any idea why I would set you up and say that maybe this might be a special conversation or a very timely one?
Not necessarily. No. Surprise me.
Well, so I don't always read the news, but It's hard to miss out on, was it Jersey Mike's? And then before that, we had Firehouse Subs. And before that, we had Subway. And then before that, I guess somewhere in there was Jimmy John's. And for some reason, sandwich shops seem to be very hot right now in the market. And I'm trying to figure out, is it the food? Is it the technology? What is it? Is it the customer connection? Or do you have a theory on that?
Yeah, I could be selfish and say that it's a technology, but I think the reality is, the brands you've just referenced have been picked up, so to speak, because the sandwich category is important. I mean, the sandwich category is one that our consumers love. They feel it's a healthy choice. We offer a variety of options outside of just the core sandwich. So I think it's just an attractive place for many to be. I mean, we wouldn't be here if we didn't think that it was a great offer. Right. And we had a compelling offer in the marketplace. So, I think it's just attractive for many reasons.
Well, way back when, if I remember correctly, Potbelly actually had its offices here in the Washington, D.C. area. I for some reason, I have that in the top of my head that there were things here. Was it always? It wasn't. It was founded in Chicago, or it was founded in D.C.?
No, it was founded in Chicago.
All right, so they must have had something here locally. But I was going early on, locally here. But to your point, by the way, you actually seem to have a broader menu than a lot of the, well, we'll say sandwich shops, but you are Sandwich Works. But you have a much broader menu. Actually, there's items in there that really surprise you that you're not going to go find at some of the other ones.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, we're a true fast casual brand, right? We want to attract our customers into our shop so that they can have a casual meal. They can have a meal with their family. They can sit down and escape their office complex if it's lunchtime and have a meal, but then have options, right? Whether it's a salad, whether it's a toasted sandwich, whether it's, a shake or a cookie as a kind of a bit of a delight. We want to make sure that as a fast casual brand, we're giving you enough offers without losing our core menu. We are a sandwich brand. Toasted sandwiches, 500 degrees.
So you're not, this is not your first time in the restaurant industry. A lot of people I talk to, they make that transition from, well, a couple of people that have worked probably with you in the past went to the hotel industry. Yeah. Some of them went some other ways, so I know who they are. Yeah. And some come from retail. So you made a transition, actually, your history. I guess you started in the restaurant side in Levy?
In the restaurant business, yeah. I started at Levy, and I was in financial services before that. So I made a transition into this business, and I love the restaurant business. I think it's a great way to connect with customers, which is that's where we were at Levy. I mean, Levy is all about hospitality, stadiums and arenas, engaging the fans that are out there. This is just another way of doing that same thing with the customer looking for a good meal.
It's sort of interesting, the number of people I've talked to recently that are in our industry, either the supplier side or the operator side, that were in FinTech before. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, there seems to be a convergence of FinTech and technology in the food service industry these days with the acquisition the POS providers, and you start to wonder: is this really about POS, the card processing, and the financial systems, or is it POS, the cash registers?
Yeah. No, it's absolutely it's the processing and the data. It's the gold in the data, right? I mean, that's what everybody is looking for. How can I get to that data, and how can I make sure that I'm promoting offers to my customers that are compelling? But to do that, you really have to have rich data, and the processors have great data because they know everything. They've got all the transactions that are going there. What you and
But
I
isn't it
bought.
funny if you have a deja vu moment in that?
Yeah.
A long time ago in the industry, we used to get a lot of data from the credit card companies. And then for a long period of time there, they said, no, 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 we can't give you that data anymore. And then we started seeing, a lot of the loyalty and other data coming from other industries like gaming or airlines or the hotels. And then all of a sudden today, now there's so much data out there. And it seems like because of online ordering and things, that really opened up our availability to access and use that data and know who our customers were.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. I mean, at the end of the day, if you don't have a really good grasp on your loyalty customers and a really clean understanding of the rest of your customers, you're at a loss. I mean, you're operating behind the eight ball. So, getting all the data that we get, we try and drive as much into our loyalty programs as much as we can, because we know that is the rich data. We know your patterns, behaviors, how you like to shop with us, where you like to shop on our menu. That comes from that loyalty data. We're trying to extend that into the non-loyal customers and really get that kind of rich information. But you're 100% correct. Online has given us tremendous capabilities.
Well, so why don't we talk about some of the initiatives that you're working on? A year ago, you guys got a lot of press on digital kitchens, which was sort of interesting, while other people are also getting press on robotics in the kitchens, in some of the fast casual, space. But, so where have you progressed? It's been, I guess, almost a year and a half since that was happening. But, what are the current initiatives, or what are you looking forward to, in the next year?
Yeah, we'll continue to advance PDK, which we labeled it Potbelly Digital Kitchen, and really hone in on the employee and the customer experience as it relates to those capabilities. But a lot of what we're doing right now is focusing in on personalization and really focusing on how we can turn the corner on our digital environment and how we're meeting our customer exactly where they want to be. We've got some things that are going to take place in 2025 as it relates to our web and app environment. I'm really excited for that. And then we've got a number of other initiatives around some of the more tried and true technology in the restaurant space, point of sale changes that we'll take a look at, and then kind of the core technology changes.
By the way, I think every supplier's ears just perked up when you said that, because you said the keywords point of sale we're going to take a look at, which may imply, I probably just got you in trouble.
Yeah.
But
all my friends in the sales space have already talked to me. They know.
Well, I mean, I think that there's, obviously a lot in there, but the POS is not necessarily the center of the universe anymore.
No.
In there, as you start connecting, all of these different pieces that are in there. Personalization, that's sort of an interesting word, because there are always these keywords that pop up every year. I think maybe this past year was the word AI, right, in there. Yeah. But personalization seems to be a going forward word that's starting to be put out there. And so could you maybe, one of the things I've discovered is people don't always agree on definitions of things. So do you want to maybe just sort of share your view of what personalization actually means here? Because I know some people think it's, putting your name or picture on the foam of a latte, right? Yeah. Or in a drink. So, what is your view of the world when you use the word personalization?
Yeah, it is narrowing your journey with our brand to be very specific to you. That is, when you enter into our digital channels, you see what you're looking for first. Whether that is you're a consistent reorder customer, we want to make that front and center for you. If you like to browse the menu, we want to make sure that you're seeing all the options on the menu. But you and I are different the way in which we consume our Potbelly. So I want to make sure that it is personal to you how you interact with our brand. So personalization is really about narrowing your journey and making sure your journey is meaningful to you.
So are there some good examples out there that you take a look at that you sit there and you say, and by the way, it doesn't have to be in our industry, but
Yeah.
are there some examples out there of people who you believe are setting the trends in this area that, that you're looking at and others should look at?
Yeah. I mean, Amazon is an example for all of us, right?
Okay.
I mean, you are locked into everything that is meaningful to you. And as I peruse through Amazon, it's always meaningful to me. But I would say it's the big retailers like that. Those are some of the best examples that you have out there. There are some restaurant brands that do it and do it well. Not Starbucks has done a good job in this space. But I would
Well,
say,
the pizza guys have always, the pizza guys invented the segment of at least knowing what you ordered, doing the repeat order, but also in
yeah,
doing so, they had to invent their own systems.
right, absolutely. Yeah, the pizza guys do a good job. I think. I think getting you through the experience in an efficient manner is one thing. Tailoring the experience and having enough flexibility in your platform that you can tailor the experience for different individuals is something totally different. That flexibility comes at the cost of complexity in the environment. But like I said, I came from financial services, so if there's ever complexity, it's in financial services. I think at the end of the day, that's
Complexity and regulation.
yes, there's
Okay. Well, all right.
regulation, but I think that some of the concepts that we had in terms of financial services and transaction processing, we can take a hold of some of those to provide a better experience for our customers. Too often, we take the cookie cutter solution and put it in place. And yes, I can give you a pop up offer, and maybe I can even give you a pop up offer because I know you like cookies, but it's totally different when I bring you
Not
into the
cookies, the
menu.
thing you delete on your browser, right?
Not cookies, the thing you delete.
Okay. But,
The delicious cookies I just had.
yeah, I bet you that there's something else that you bring back, from your FinTech experience. I don't know that our industry always focuses on the cybersecurity and some of the data. I mean, data protection is sort of forced on us, but as we're connecting more and more with the customer and with the employees and their own devices, you know, do you feel that we're doing enough in that particular area, given your background, your history, where you came from, and even working at Levy in certain types of environments like stadiums, arenas, airports, things like that?
Yeah. Um, I think the good thing about the data is you're abstracted from the data that is regulated. So the true PII data is generally not the data that you're grabbing. You're grabbing kind of the metadata of a user. Some of your core customers, you have that information, and we've got all the systems in place to protect that. But I think what's interesting or what's beautiful about the way in which it's done today is we're abstracted from some of the risky data. Let the card processors hold the risky data. Let your loyalty
Oh,
provider
that's true.
hold the risky data, the PII. Give me all the other metadata that I can then use to my advantage. So
So what is it that is there, when you say give me all the metadata, I get it. A lot of that is your data.
mhm.
Okay. However, what about all the new data opportunities that are available to us to be able to connect and glean from and then apply, that science, if you will, to what we're doing to, give better insights in the piece? What are the opportunities that may be out there for that?
Yeah, I mean there are plenty of opportunities, and just make sure I'm clear. Are you still referencing from a security perspective the caution around security, or just broadly? What
No,
are
I believe actually, no, I'm actually not necessarily talking about the security because I got your point on that. I
yeah,
think that you're right, that we're gleaning data from it. We may not be, directly, on the data that's there. So I think that's a very good point. Although the connectivity and what we do at the units and with our guests and getting people to be part of our ecosystem in
yeah,
there does create some other challenges in there. So I was just sort of asking about all of the other things that are available to us that may never have been available to before that come from other sources.
yeah. Yeah, I think the connectedness of data is important, right? You take the providers. I'm trying to remember what they call it in this particular space. I lost the word, but you take the connectedness of the data. I take a single person who is my customer, and I can anonymize what other brands they're shopping at, but I can get rich data from that processor or from that aggregator that's telling me here are the brands that this cohort of your business shop at. And that's important data for me to have. So I think the connectedness of the data, obviously the shift to mostly digital payments helps in this particular situation. Even when you're talking about my in-shop customer who I don't know, right? Maybe they didn't sign up for my loyalty program, but they're using my payment system, which is then connected with this universe of where are you? I can put you in a cohort. I can understand you a little bit better. Now I can target you. And you're not my loyalty
Right. But
customer.
the one thing that the retailers were doing, I, for some reason, I still don't understand why we haven't captured more of the mobile data that's coming off the phones. Because at least it identifies you. It may not, that you're there. Your presence is there. And
Yeah.
if you want to be connected, you can be connected. But I walk in certain stores that I might be connected to their system. It knows I came in. It makes offers to me. And I think more and more we're probably going to see on-demand connections and data being provided as well, even if it's, anonymous, out there, there's certain other data you glean from that.
Yeah. I couldn't agree with you more. Not necessarily collecting the data off the phone, but collecting the data off of all the APs that you're pinging. Everybody
Absolutely.
has them. And while people don't necessarily use the public Wi-Fi in your shop as much as they used to, you are still pinging that AP up there. And that's valuable data for me to have. We just haven't leveraged it yet. We haven't done as much
Well,
with
I
it.
think so. First of all, I'm going to just take a break for a minute here. And I love that we haven't leveraged it yet. So we're going to take a quick break and then we're going to come back. And why don't we talk about the word leverage, in there as to how we might make better use of it? Maybe you'll share with us some of what's in the works at Potbelly, but, but just sort of what you see out there, what we can do better to leverage what's available to us. So we'll take a quick break and then we'll come right back.
With the rapid expansion of technology in the food and beverage industries, finding the right supplier can become overwhelming and complicated. To simplify this process, the IFBTA created Exchange. Exchange is a powerful search tool where users can easily narrow down their technology search and refine results by application type, geography served, department, and more. Browse resources and learn more about the industry's technology suppliers at exchange.ifbta.org. Now, back to the show.
So welcome back. And I am with Jeff Douglas of Potbelly Sandwich Works. And right before the break, we were sort of focused on the idea that there's a lot of things that we can leverage out there that we may or may not be aware of. And by the way, it occurs to me that given the way technology is today in the restaurant industry, that you don't have to be a Potbelly to be able to leverage this information. You can be, a small multi-unit brand or franchisee or multi-unit franchisee or, independent or whatever it might be. But there's a lot out there. So when you think about the opportunity for us to leverage things and help our business along, are there some examples or specific things that either you see going on or you wish would go on?
Yeah, there's a tremendous opportunity in customer data and platforms like any sort of customer data platform that it's out there, being able to aggregate simple data that you've been collecting for a long period of time. It is going to be very valuable. The best example I could give you is if you deploy a customer data platform and you start collecting customer data that traditionally comes from traditional marketing sources. Take a look at your technology infrastructure. What data do you have about the people who come into your shop, the people who pass by your shop, and how can you leverage that in trying to understand frequency of customers walking by your shop, frequency of customers, how long do they dwell in your shop? Even camera technology is wonderful, right? Being able to
that came up in a conversation this past week. But yes, go ahead.
Yeah, even be able to extract that information and feed that into that same customer data platform. I mean, you can use this data in so many different ways to be able to enhance the experience for that customer, be able to get to that customer, and ultimately you're trying to increase their frequency of coming into your shop.
So, you're the third person in the last few months who brought up the cameras. And I'm now starting to think that that is, in fact, going to be one of the key areas that's going to be the aha moments for next year. Now, I'll go out to CES in January. I'll take a look and see what they're showing, on some of the things, for instance, in the house. But the idea of cameras, first of all, is not new because the casinos have been doing it forever, and obviously the airlines and airports do it. But I don't think that people realize how much data is available to them, and they don't actually have to change the feeds and things that they have. They can use AI tools and other tools to examine what they're already collecting, because we have cameras at the docks when items are being delivered. We have cameras that show people coming to the counter, the flow through in the restaurant, what their activities are, just like they do in grocery stores, and they do planograms based on that. So I think that's a great one that we could leverage a lot of things without actually having to spend a lot of money, because we already own that data.
Yeah, I think the key there is without having to spend a lot of money. Sometimes when you think about cameras, you think about a large expense. The cost of the hardware has come down significantly. And then the cost to store the data, we all know that came down significantly.
Right.
So really, it's about what you just said. Add some intelligence in the mix, and now all of a sudden you've unlocked a new capability. Not just from looking at security with employees and do you have theft, but how long is my queue, and trying to shorten my queue. What's the typical behavior at 2:00 in my shops? Do people walk in and walk right back out? Do they walk in and do they meander? What exactly do they do? Use some intelligence. We're actually working with one of our partners to test a little bit of that next year.
But a lot of that is not new. And I always feel like it is deja vu, because you might have seen something years ago that maybe it was before its time. I'm reminded of when different companies like in Illinois, Panasonic, was doing displays, but they were putting cameras in the displays that would follow your eye tracking as to what you were looking at on the placement on a menu board.
Yeah.
Maybe it was before its time, maybe it was too expensive, but the cost of cameras, the cost of displays are down now. Kiosks. This, whatever a kiosk is, by the way, because who knows what that is. But a kiosk having a camera in and allowing two-way interaction, just like the ATM machines, can do, and you can get a person on there. But again, watching how you're doing your choices, the correlation like they do in the casinos or in restaurants, where they can match up what's being rung at the register with the money and things being given out, or how they're doing, handling the process. So a lot of that data is there, and actually the tools to analyze and harvest that data is there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even if you take it to digital channels, just having the right tagging in your environment so that you can understand where are my customers stopping on my site? Where are they getting tripped up? Wait, they spent a lot of time on this particular, item. Is that because it's a popular item, or is that because I have a poor presentation of that item in the system? So you're 100% correct. It comes down
to user experience programming.
And what data are you getting from it? That's what it comes down to.
Yeah. And how to more effectively do your layout and things. And that's going to become even more important as people are starting to accept, voice AI, out there for response in call centers or order taking. We're starting to see that. We had on the show Bojangles CIO a few weeks ago, who was talking about what they're doing at their drive-through with a real voice. And then I talked to Big Chicken recently, and they're talking about putting Shaq, on the kiosk, right? But interactive Shaq, who's actually responding to you, right? So it's getting stronger and stronger. To be able to do that kind of interaction.
The technology is accessible. It doesn't require a massive learning curve. It's just really a matter of, test and learn, right? See what works in your brand. If that works on your kiosk, great, go for it. But you can get to test and learn a lot faster than, if this were 10 years ago.
Yeah. So, in your background, Levy, was in a lot of stadiums, and they did a lot of different types of restaurants and things like that. And they're part of Compass, right? I think
Correct.
they're part of Compass now, right? Okay, so they're part of a larger group as well. Was there some experiences, or were there some things when you made the change from sort of that full service environment and different kinds of environments that you were working into going into the sandwich works, which is a more limited menu, but it's a different kind of thing. Were there some surprises for you when you made the change, or surprises one way or the other? Why didn't we do it this way there? And not that you should comment, by the way, directly
Yeah.
about that, but just in general, like as far as the tech is concerned.
Um, Not necessarily. I think probably one of the biggest surprises was the change in terms of supply chain, and because a fast casual or a quick serve is the same for every shop across the board, the supply chain isn't as vast. Different suppliers across the entire country, but the process is pretty simple. Whereas at Levy, it was a little more complex, many more food options. Food options are different in the Southwest than they are in the Northeast. So that was one area that was a little bit different. I've had the benefit of changing just about every piece of technology within Potbelly since I've been here. And
You
so,
also had the benefit, by the way, of getting, I think you got there in 2019. So you also had the benefit of living through technological change, as the industry changed during COVID, which,
yeah,
even though I don't like to talk about it, nobody wants to talk about it, but our industry seemed to pivot
yeah,
in technology, and technology became more important.
yeah. Either you had to pivot or you were thinking about it already and you just doubled down at that point in time. I like to think we're in the latter camp. We invested during the pandemic, and actually we rolled out our digital channels, our new digital channels, in 2021. So right at the tail end of the pandemic, but we made that investment right smack dab in the middle of the investment. And you're 100% correct. It has changed the way in which all brands, all fast casual, quick
But
serve.
you already had the infrastructure in place to be able to put that in, right?
Um, Not all of it. I mean, we changed everything from the online ordering platforms. We brought the web and app in house, so it's on our own hardware. It's our own code. So while we had the capability, we weren't managing that in house. So we brought that in house during that time. Yeah. So
So you get, I mean, you're fortunate you're in Chicago, so you have things like the National Restaurant Show in your backyard. Plus, I know there's several retail tech things that are in your backyard,
yeah,
that are there, an IFBTA chapter in your backyard as well.
there you go.
But as I think about it, in the industry itself, what are you predicting are going to? So we've covered the digital piece, we've covered some of the the leveraging of the data, and the video. But what are some of the key trends that, if we're having this conversation next year at this time, what do you think we're going to be talking about? What are going to be the key words that every conference in the first half of the year is going to be talking about?
Yeah, I think it's integrated AI. That's the way I would look at it. I think there are a number of startups out there that are bringing great solutions, leveraging AI, whether it's through drive-through, whether it's through any of your ordering capabilities. But it's that integrated AI. Being able to integrate that into your digital ordering channels, right? Instead of perusing a menu, let me just have a little conversation about what I want, and voila, there's my sandwich. My sandwich is
Who's responsible for that? Is that the traditional suppliers to our industry? Is that the operator like yourself who has to figure out how to integrate it in all the different places? Is it some third party group that's saying we'll do all the connections, and you just bring it in? Who's
it
going to bring that
starts that
forward?
way. It starts with a third party group, but I think it's important for our core tech providers to grab hold of that technology and incorporate that. So whether it's your online ordering platform, whether it's the predominant point of sale vendors, it's really important for them to grab hold of that technology and start incorporating that into their solutions. But it's going to start with those third parties providing integrations, providing really great solutions. I mean, quite honestly, that's how some of the core players today started, right? They start in the online ordering space. They started as a third party providing a solution. So I think that's
Well,
really,
some of those guys become POS companies, and some of them, they are POS companies actually. in the e-commerce space, and some of them actually just get acquired in there. But now you have so many of them and so many connections that whole business world of integration, as you're saying, is really the challenge. But smart integration, which I'm starting to think that's what you're really talking about, smart integration, where we have some thought behind it, or thought to understand what it is we're integrating and then put it together.
Absolutely. I've worked with partners before that would integrate anything and it destabilizes their platform. So putting some thought behind who you're integrating with and what solutions you're providing, I love that. Do it faster, okay, but put some thought behind it. So if it's integrated AI that you're integrating into your POS platform, yes, work with a partner. Find the partner that you want to work with, and then whether it's acquisition or whether it's you build your own, but bring that technology into your platform. Right.
Yeah. So do you think that so there's always this conversation it's not a debate, but it's a conversation in the industry because there is no one size fits all, but people are always talking about best of breed versus all in one, and packaged versus custom products. And I know that's come up a lot in the last couple of years because there's some companies, large ones, that went and said, we're going to have to develop a custom solution. Then they backed down. They went more to a package. So do you think that these solutions that bring this information together are going to be custom solutions, or do you think they're going to be packaged solutions and maybe they're not from our industry, but they're applied in the industry?
Yeah. I think that they are packaged solutions. I do not think that they're from our industry. I think that they will come in from other industries. When we say other industries, I mean, retail is doing a lot. So I think that it could just be an extension of retail. If this is something, from my perspective, you develop a solution, a custom solution, when there is nobody that can deliver on the vast majority of your needs. I also think that you take a look at your needs and understand, are you overcomplicating your solution? If your customer experience can be met with a third party solution, that's great. But if you're over engineering your customer experience and you're building custom for that, there's a cost associated with that. There's complexity around that. And do you absolutely need that? Our
customers will always tell you they want more, but it's the old analogy of the VCR. Nobody ever used all the functions in it, right?
Yeah.
And nobody uses all the functions in a phone, right? That they have available. So they end up using 3-5 apps or something like that, and then the essential ones they need to do their daily piece. But they want all the data all the time. They want you to be able to do it all the time. So maybe you're right. It's going to be, some third party that says, all right, how do you want to use it? And then it goes ahead and just does the job for you.
Yeah. I honestly, I think that's for the vast majority of brands that works. The larger you get, the more custom of a solution you want to bring your customers. Yeah, you start to drift away from it. And we've seen that in our industry with a few of the bigger brands that are out there. But for the vast majority of us, I'll give it in Potbelly space, whatever you consider that may be, you can leverage some of the solutions that are off the shelf. But you have to make sure that your partner, your vendor partner that you're using, is keeping technology at the forefront, taking a look at those solutions that they can integrate into their platform so that you can take advantage of them instead of you having to.
But that's also going to allow you to do a best of breed approach if you want to, or an all-in-one, it depends. But that you're going to be able to stay on top of the curve of being able to add applications as the customers or your employees are demanding it, because we all know that there's more and more applications on the employee side as well.
Absolutely.
So I get it. So I just want to make sure that we just remind what you just said. So AI integration. Mm-hmm. So AI term of this past year, integration term of going forward, although integration has always been a challenge, in our industry. Yeah. But AI integration, there was billboards at one time before the National Restaurant Show in Chicago that one of the technology providers, I thought they were great. It was thought for food, and instead of food for thought. And I think we're actually probably back to that message. of what's happening is with all the things that we put together to meet customer demands, employee demands, shareholder demands, that we've got to put that thought back in there, to integrate and bring it together.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it comes down to. We have some great solutions out there. It is challenging for most to do that integration. We really have to look at the industry and our industry partners and say, hey, look, let's start to really build something meaningful here, but I'm going to need you to do it.
So you obviously, work in tech, and you've had your whole career in tech. Or would you consider yourself a tech enthusiast? I mean, are you always like out there taking a look at what the latest and greatest is in general?
To a degree. I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm on the cutting edge of every piece of latest technology, but I stay current. That's
what is your passion in a hobby when you're not working?
Ironically, it's silly to say, right? I like the capabilities around Gen AI and what you can do on your own personal devices, and building out some capability that is not Chat GPT or it's not Copilot. For the vast majority of people, it's simple to go to those solutions. For tech guys like me, having something custom in my house that I can use, my wife has used it, my kids have used it. I'm a little bit of a geek like that.
Have you ever been to CES?
Yes. Yeah.
Are you going to go this year?
No.
Okay. So since I'm going and I'm going to be your representative.
There you go.
So, and maybe I'll buy you a a holiday present. I don't know. Oh. We'll have to figure that one out. But what are you going to go tell me I should go look for that you just want to know about, in general that, is on your mind? And hey, Rob, you're going, would you do me a favor and just see if there's any of this out there?
Wow. That's a broad question. There's so much that's out there. I really think it's, we had augmented reality before, and everybody said that was the place to be. You've got Gen AI right now. Is there an intersection that is going to bring something really interesting to the forefront?
I don't know, but I tell you, I get these notices all the time. Anything voice, which you've already said, and AI. And last year, I was a little bit underwhelmed with the voice translation because I'm really looking for that Star Trek, tricorder thing that we're just having the conversation. But I think we may be there this year. Yeah. And so I'm going to be looking at AI voice generation and translation, that's there. And I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of voice, out there as well, in different types of things.
Going back,
so I'll be on the lookout for you on that one.
Going back to my question about augmented reality, do you feel that with the addition of voice, with the addition of generative AI, that's?
I don't know that the term is going to be used the same way that it was used in the past.
Okay.
I think it's probably going to be something more realistic, more accepted.
Yeah.
Just like robots. Do you really have a robot that looks like a robot, or do you have a robot that looks like a person, right? Or do we have immersive environments? And I think I am going to see that this year. I think we're going to start seeing more and more immersive technologies out there in the experience that we have. So when you take a look at the augmented reality and you think like things like that, it's sort of like it's going to become more commonplace, I think, somehow tied into all the rest.
Yeah. I think the consumer is living in a variety of spaces and being able to understand how they're using those spaces and then capitalize on how they're using those spaces is going to be really important. So I'm very interested in what's taking place with technology that was introduced, let's call it 5 years ago, or was really 5 years ago, and the technology that's being introduced today. I think there is a bit of a convergence at some point in time.
And there will be those deja vu moments. So listen, Jeff, it's been a pleasure having you on today and starting a conversation that I hope will continue in the future and also in person. Hopefully before the NRA show in May, but you never know, at one of the industry conferences or along the way, or maybe in a Potbelly Sandwich Works. So Jeff Douglas, who is the Senior Vice President and Chief Information Officer of Potbelly Sandwich Works, and happy holidays, and it's been a pleasure having a conversation with you today.
Absolutely. Same to you. Really appreciate the time today.
This podcast is brought to you by the International Food and Beverage Technology Association. The IFBTA is the industry's voice of food service, hospitality, and retail technology, providing thought leadership as your single, impartial, and go-to resource. The IFBTA offers in-person and online communities to connect with your peers, the exchange, an all-encompassing global technology resource, and an industry-wide professional education and certification program. The bottom line is the IFBTA is your place to gather, learn, and share in conversations like the one we're having today. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Tech Bytes, powered by the IFBTA. I'm Rob Grimes, your host, and I look forward to taking our next bite of technology together.